107.2 Red Kite Radio for a Wednesday afternoon. And In Excess, new sensation. 3:15 Wednesday afternoon. We have a studio guest. His name is David Impey. David, good afternoon. Welcome to Red Kite Radio.
Afternoon. Thank you very much for having me.
Now, David is a local author based in Haddenham, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Been here 15 years now.
50. Likes the place, you see.
Can't get away.
That's right. Excellent. Now, David, you're here to talk about your new novel called The October Men.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start at the beginning, shall we?
Yeah.
You started off you went to university and studied whatever?
Chemistry.
Yep. Which leads us nicely into your first career move, which was into pharmaceuticals, I guess.
That's right, yeah. I left university and ended up as a medical rep working for one of the larger pharma companies. Although one shouldn't mix up chemistry and pharmacy. They're two separate things. But never mind. Yeah, that's me just being pedantic.
No, I'm sure there is an awning chasm between the two, I would imagine.
Well, it was enough to be able to go into a job like that and say, yes, I've got a sciences degree, here's a job, and they swallowed it.
Good man, excellent. Yeah. And you now run your own sales and marketing consultancy, is that right?
That's right, yeah. I've been working with various small companies in particular, sort of helping them get set up, sort of developing their commercial sort of strategy going forwards. Been a lot of fun, actually. I've been in some really fascinating areas of medicine, like cancer, diabetes, and new antibiotics as well. So after what Dame Sally Davis said today about the fact that we need some, they're out there, Sally, they just need funding.
Oh, right.
You have been told.
I must have, was that on the Today programme?
Well, it was in the daily papers this morning. She wrote some bleating article about it.
Oh dear, right, okay. Well, we'll not delve too deeply into that.
Okay.
Now, you've been in Haddenham for 15 years, but you've been writing a fair bit longer than that, I think.
God,
yes.
My
little note here says you first started off with an April Fool's article in a yachting magazine.
In 1977, yes, absolutely. It fooled quite a few people, and quite a few more people weren't fooled, but they got in on the joke and they thought it was hilarious, so it was a lot of fun.
So there you are, into writing straight away, no messing. And I guess you've written an awful lot of non-fiction stuff in your line of work.
Yeah, absolutely. I've contributed a lot of articles to magazines and online articles and stuff, both within the sort of industry and outside of it. Also done quite a lot of work on patient education and websites, and writing scripts for radio spots and videos and so on and so forth.
Right.
So it's a pen has been very close to paper at all times of my life.
Good. And I noticed also in the little notes I've got here is that you helped to develop and set up an American TV series.
Yeah, well, originally it wasn't going to be in the US. It was we were looking to sell it here in the UK, and it was effectively Top Gear but for drugs. Oh. So trying to explain people how illnesses make people ill and drugs make people better, but without recourse to sort of the usual tropes of healthcare broadcasting, so lots of computer animations and stuff. So we wanted to have things like planes blowing up and people doing tightrope walking and hot air balloons and things like that.
Would Dirk Clarkson have been in it?
He'd have been
May and Hammond.
Well, it wouldn't have been nice. Yes, I must admit. I used to have longer hair at one time, and certainly I got arrested for speeding once. And the guy asked me if I was related to James May.
Oh right. That's not happened to me, but I don't bear any sort of vague resemblance.
I was wearing a flowery shirt at the time.
That does help. Right. Well, what we'll do, David, we'll take a short break and we'll come back and we will get into the subject that we're really here to discuss, which is the October Men. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Supremes and Stop in the Name of Love. My studio guest, David Impey, is with us, and we are talking about a brand new novel, and a first novel, David, if my research is correct.
It's the first one to certainly break out into the public domain. The first one, which I wrote when I was 13, I reviewed when I was 14 and set fire to.
Oh.
Because it was ghastly.
Oh dear.
It was utterly without merit. This one, on the other hand, is better.
So it doesn't exist. It's not going to be unearthed. And when you've become famous after the October Men,
I guarantee this will not surface.
Oh, what a shame. Could be
Well, no, we would get apart from it. No, it was,
we won't go there.
No.
All right. So this is the first serious attempt at fiction.
Yes, indeed.
And it's being published.
Yes.
What sort of genre is it in?
Well, it's sort of more in the kind of genre of something like John Wyndham. So it's about what happens when scientific endeavour goes slightly wrong and what the wider implications of it are on society more generally. It's styled as a kind of conspiracy thriller primarily, and there are aspects of the security services, science, journalism, the history side of things. So there are a lot of little sort of elements that all tie together.
So in terms of timelines, it's covering quite a stretch, isn't it? We're going back to the Wall Street crash, are we? That sort of era? Primarily,
yes. Yeah. I mean, the trunk of the novel takes place within 1 week, week in an unspecified October, which is pretty much where all of the strands that, from historical perspective, come together, and then ostensibly what happens is that you've got a technology which is set up by some Oxford scientists. They're trying to develop an anti-gravity machine, but it does something completely different. It falls into the wrong hands, and the people who misuse this machine use it to their own ends in order to do things like manipulate markets over the last 100 years and buy art from undiscovered artists like Vincent van Gogh. And it all comes crashing down round about their ears in the middle of that week.
So this is sci-fi plus.
Yes, it's I've tried to keep it sci-fi light as much as possible. So it's not a space opera, and you don't have people climbing into their spandex onesies and going off. So it's about the evidence of time travel, not time travelers.
Right. So if you're a fan of John le Carré, John Wyndham, you've mentioned.
Yep.
Colin Dexter, I heard.
Yes, well, there's quite a lot of Oxford in this one, so the half of the book is pretty much set in and around the streets of Oxford, hence the Dexter connection. And if you really want to throw another one into the mix, possibly Wilkie Collins, because what this book doesn't have is a protagonist. In essence, the reader is the protagonist. You're going through a whole load of apparently unconnected information, and you have to try and make sense for yourself. So it's trying to be a bit more immersive. And what Wilkie Collins did back in the 1860s was to present the same story from lots of different perspectives, like The Moonstone or Woman in White.
Yeah, so there are quite a lot of strands in this novel, and a lot of things that will appeal not just to the sci-fi lover, but to the people who like a bit of a thriller, some political elements in there as well.
There's a lot in it. I admit, I was always worried there might be too much, but it's never been a criticism that's been levelled at the book. Quite a few people have written on the Amazon website, to sort of starting off with things like, I wasn't expecting to enjoy this, but... and then they suddenly discover that this is something that they didn't realise they would enjoy.
Excellent. Well, you've got a book signing coming. We're going to be talking about that after we've heard from Alicia Keys, and this is Empire State of Mind. There we have Alicia Keys and the Empire State of Mind on 107.2 Red Kite Radio for a Wednesday afternoon. David Impey is with me, local novelist now. He's been published, as we're about to find out. We talked about the various timelines that the novel goes through, and one of them is the tragic events of November 63. The assassination of
JFK.
Kennedy. Now, does the novel throw any light on this that we haven't had before? Does it even...
Gee, I'm glad you asked me that question, and yes, it does.
My goodness.
Gosh.
Wow.
Not only that, but also what actually happened at Roswell is described in graphic detail as well. So if you really need to know the truth about what genuinely happened in those places, then you might get it from the book.
Wow.
Despite the fact that the book is a work of fiction.
Okay, well, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard this first on 107.2 Red Kite Radio.
Yeah.
Well, there's another way to find out even more, and that's to attend your book signing, which is happening next week, David.
It is. It's happening on last day of May, 31st, at Waterstones on the Broad at 7 p.m. There'll be a sort of quick presentation, readings, a bit of explanation, Q&As and stuff like that. And since we're doing it in the coffee shop, there'll be lots of coffee and cakes.
Wonderful. Well, everybody knows where... Well, we hope everybody knows where Waterstones is. On the corner of Broad and Corn Market.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
And obviously looking forward to seeing anybody. Do come and bring your friends.
Sure. Well, no excuses. 280 boss. Easy.
Simples.
As they say. As the meerkats are known to say. Now, if anybody would like to find out more about you and about this book, there is a website that they can go to, David. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. It's www.davidimpey.com. It's that simple. Similarly, you can either download the book there, which will take you through to Amazon, or you can get it as on Kindle, or you can order copies from Amazon, Waterstones, or Blackwells. And
I think you get the first couple of chapters.
Yes, that's right. You get the first 3 chapters free, gratis, and for nothing.
How many chapters are there?
About 50.
Oh, well, it's a start. It gets you into it.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. Yes.
Wonderful. So let's just remind everybody: we need to be at Waterstones in Oxford, on the corner of Broad and Corn Market, on the 31st of May. At what time again, David?
7 p.m.
Wonderful. And the 280 boss will, well, not quite drop you at the door, but not far away.
Chiltern Railways.
Chiltern Railways.
Yeah.
Even.
My teeth are just falling out. Yeah, it's not working. Yeah, so there are lots of ways in which you can get there. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, just get off the 280 on the high and walk down Corn Market.
Exactly. Thank you
Wonderful.
very much.
Excellent. Well, I hope that goes well, David. I don't know what your sort of the sort of forward interest has been on the novel, what the reaction has been so far.
Well, quite a few copies have already been sold, and I've been sort of monitoring the sales through some of the bookshops, and quite a few copies have already been picked up overseas as well, as far afield as America and Australia even.
Excellent.
A quick sort of hello to Kathleen in Albuquerque. I know you're listening. She was the one who worked on the TV program we mentioned earlier.
Wonderful. And any reviews yet?
Yes, loads. I mean, there's a load of reviews on Amazon already, which were suspiciously positive, although I promise I didn't put them there myself. And we're awaiting the review from the guy at Oxford Mail this weekend.
Wonderful.
Fingers crossed.
Excellent. Well, all the very best with that, David, and thank you for coming to join us here at 107.2 Red Kite Radio and sparing us some your very, very valuable time.
My pleasure.
I'll just reiterate, hope it all goes well for you next week.
Thank you very much indeed.
And please come along and tell us about the next one.
Certainly will.
There will be a next one, won't there?
Yeah, it's already about more than halfway through.
Excellent. See what it is about Hadnam and Tame and Oxford. It feeds the literary genius, doesn't it?
It's all the pubs.
Ah, yes. Okay, enough said about that. Our studio guest today has been David Impey on 107.2 Red Kite Radio.